You got a channel.
I know. Yeah. Okay, fine. I don't want to make you guys jealous.
That's gonna make it. Welcome back to another episode of LionHeart Radio. I'm your host, Memo Ochoa, co-founder of Lou Vive. I'm here with Claudia.
Hi guys, Claudia Chauner, Doctor of Physical Therapy with Muma RX and nationally ranked powerlifter.
So today we have the Nemesis Weight Lifting crew. They just got back from competition, the University Nationals, USAW, right?
That's right.
Yep. Okay, awesome. So we have JP.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Sebastian.
Hello.
Arturo.
Hey.
And the lovely Darlene.
Hi.
Thanks for being here, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Good to be here.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
All right, so first things first, how did each of you get involved into fitness? Let's start there.
I think it started off just joining the military. It kind of just became something to do for my job to get better at it. And
you guys were in it together, right?
Yes, we were actually both in the same platoon twice, actually, yeah.
Very cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
And then it just kind of continued from there as a hobby. And then I started to get into the competitions and then found out I really liked it and turned out I was okay at it and trying to get better. So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, just okay.
How long have you been competing in Olympic lifting?
Olympic weightlifting? Was it, not even a full year actually, or like just over a year. Awesome. But for CrossFit, I've been doing competitively probably like 2 years. And then doing CrossFit for like 3, a little over 3, I think.
Awesome.
What do you see, Bass?
I actually started lifting in high school. I took some weight training classes in high school, and then it was mostly focused on like powerlifting and stuff like that. It was taught by like the football coach, but I just did it to supplement my sports. I wrestled into track in high school.
Cool.
After that, same thing. Joined the Marines. Pretty much the same boat. There's like the Marines kind of fitness that involved a lot of just like strength and conditioning most of the time. And then my off time, I would still do a lot more lifting in the gym, but it was mostly like bodybuilding type stuff. That's just kind of what I got sucked into until like just before our second deployment. Actually, JP kind of got me to start doing like CrossFit with him, and then that's pretty much like the direction I started heading. And then at a certain point, I just realized that if I wanted to be good at CrossFit, I needed to get better at Olympic weightlifting because that was something I was pretty new to. Started doing Olympic weightlifting, just straight on that, and got sucked into it and never went back really ever since.
Yeah.
So.
For how long now?
Probably a little over, maybe about 1.5 years now at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
What about you, Arturo?
I've been in fitness. Well, I don't know. I think my mom has a picture of me where I was 2 years old doing push-ups. So I've been doing fitness for forever. A lot of martial arts. I played every sport young, boxing, jiu-jitsu, big deals, wrestling. And then CrossFit was taking off. It was more like the dark days in like 2007. In 2008, I probably got into it, which is right around the first CrossFit Games, maybe the second CrossFit Games then. And I just ran with it since. I've loved CrossFit. And then usually, like most other CrossFitters, you find Olympic weightlifting. And once you get into weightlifting, for most people, I think they really either respect it or they really fall in love with it.
Dar?
So I've pretty much been active my whole life. I like being outdoors a lot, running, played softball for a couple of years, but I always liked physical activity and competition. In about 2008, my brother joined CrossFit and he got me into it. And I think around like 2012, he started getting into Oli. My brother did, so I kind of followed him into that. And I loved it because I'm 4'11", and I'm not that big of a girl. So like to compete against people my size, I found that better than competing with girls like twice my size in CrossFit. So that's how I got into Oli. I still love CrossFit, but I feel like Oli's a bit more level playing field.
Amen to that.
Yeah, and you already have a few competitions under your belt, right?
Yeah, I've probably done like 8-ish.
Oh, wow.
I've done a few.
She's been,
Awesome.
I mean, you've done, I think, 3 this year?
Yeah,
And
3
you're
this
pregnant.
year. Three this year.
She's pregnant, by
While I
the
was
way.
pregnant.
Big deal. Big deal.
Yeah.
Hella pregnant right now.
My last comp was, I was like 28 weeks pregnant or something.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's
And then
pretty fun.
even when in March you qualified for the Open,
Oh, yeah.
that was like you were a few weeks pregnant then.
Yeah, we didn't know that at the time, but I qualified for the American Open for this year. And then when we came back to see the doctor, we found out we were pregnant. So I was probably like 6 weeks pregnant
Yeah.
at the time. But yeah.
Nice.
So baby's got 2 comps on it. It's good.
Start him young. Nice. All right, so tell us a little bit about the event that you guys just competed in.
Well, so for both of us, actually, it was our first national Olympic weightlifting meet.
Yeah.
So that was kind of new. I mean, it was like grand scale. I think we both actually spoke about it, that like the best part about it for us was like training in the training hall. So
Yeah.
a bunch of other like-minded individuals that are like the same age and everything. And then it was like, you didn't need a training partner to go in there with, and everybody's like, just, you're sharing 6 people to a platform, which normally would be kind of like hectic and kind of suck, but it was pretty awesome because nobody's really going too heavy up to the event. You're kind of like priming yourself so you can lift well on that, whatever your day is. But I don't know, it was a good time. Everything was like well organized, where some local meets, maybe like they're running behind schedule. Not too bad for Olympic weightlifting. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a lot of fun, and it's like traveling for a competition is always like pretty cool.
So it was in New Orleans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Cool. And all of you guys went.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So Arturo is the head coach for Nemesis, right?
Yep.
You'd say? Okay, very cool. Actually, so Nemesis, when did you guys establish that?
About a year and a half ago, was it? Or no, about a year ago.
Beginning of the year.
Yeah, about a year and a half ago, I'd say, is when we started it. We had been weightlifting for some time, but I think with JP and Sebastian getting into weightlifting, we were really into weightlifting. Weightlifting was really growing within the gym. It was like, all right, it was definitely the next move. Yeah.
Because there was at the time only one other sanctioned USAW club, right? Is that how you would refer to it?
So Nemesis is a registered weightlifting club with USAW now. We made that registration as like just a result of the interest that was growing within our CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
But yeah, now there's people, I mean, just within this year, I think we have like, I don't know, 25, 30 people registered to lift, most of which have already competed. Yeah, we've got more people competing, more and more every competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And we were talking a little bit about it earlier about like competing at the national level. Like, how do you feel? I mean, is that a good thing for athletes? Like, how can that better an athlete? And would you encourage that more to try to have that?
Yeah.
as a
So
goal for people?
for anyone that's even interested in weightlifting, I always tell them like you have to compete. Not have to, but you should. To me, like if you're training all the time in the gym, and to me it's like you're doing soccer drills, but you're doing the drills to play the game.
Yeah.
So like if you don't play the game, it's like well that's the purpose of this, right? The sport is kind of the test of your training. Whatever your max is in training, it doesn't really matter. What you do is on the platform.
Yeah.
So for me, I push everyone to do the competition, and almost everyone like they really enjoy it because it focuses their training. They come out of it like feeling ecstatic because they were able to do it on the stage and stuff. And then for a national meet, it's such a big deal because one, you have to qualify to get there. And then when you do get there, it's like this professional level. It's all of a sudden you start looking at yourself like, oh, I'm one of these guys that I've been looking up to. And then it really motivates you to see how far you can push that threshold. Like, what is your true ceiling?
Yeah. I definitely agree. Yeah. And how did it motivate you guys as athletes? I mean, is it pushing you to like you coming back and hungry for more? Or like, how did that change your perspective on things?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, it's like Trevor was just saying. You get to that point that you've just been working towards this whole time, and you get to that level, and you're on the same stage as all these people that that you're watching train every day, like the motivational videos you watch before you go and hit your own like, lifting session. Yeah, it's
Instagram it up.
Yeah, exactly. You're on the same stage as these people, and you're performing the same thing. And you're competing against them, and you actually get to see just like where you sit in comparison to all these other people that do the same thing as you. And It's really cool, and especially for where we just competed with university and under 25. It's kind of nice to. I mean, it's something that I didn't even realize when I first started competing in weightlifting, that I didn't know this was like a whole division of its own that we can compete in. And then once I started getting emails about it through USAW, I was like, oh, what's this? And it's cool to see. Because I mean, yeah, like. I think a pretty cool goal would be to just to lift for a living. That'd be awesome. But there's at the same time, it's like there's like a lot of people our age where we're going to school full time, we're working full time, and then we're still trying to make it to the gym to be competitive. 2-3 hours a day training sessions. It's a different playing field, and it's nice to be able to compete with other people that are doing the same stuff as you. And
yeah, totally.
It's pretty cool. So and then you come out of a national meet like that and just kind of like seeing where you're at, and it just not to mention the way it's run. It's run completely different than local meets. And there's we do a lot of local meets around here, and there is a lot of great talent around here in the Southern California area, and San Diego and everything like that. We meet a lot of cool people. Some people that we competed with in the past actually were also there from representing California. So
awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
It's it's just nice to be competing at that level, I guess. And you come out of it and you're like, yeah, now I know where I'm at. Now I know where I'm sitting next to all these big names. Like, let me get to that next level. Let me push myself. Let me knock up my ranking a couple more steps next year, and then next year be even better. Yeah. So it's a cool experience. It was great.
I hated competing. Probably it's true.
She still does kind of.
No, I don't hate it anymore, but like my first probably 3 or 4 competitions, the only person I would tell is Arturo, my husband, and my brother Erwin, who got me into it, because I would be like a nervous wreck that I cried.
You weren't allowed to go.
Yeah.
So Darlene would tell me specifically,
don't tell anybody.
She's like, don't tell anybody, like nobody. And I'm like, all right, like it's like the day before. Can I tell them? She's like, no,
I don't want them.
There.
Yeah, because I get so nervous.
She even said this for things like when she starts, like she's competed in a few meets, she still feels this way. She doesn't want anyone watching her. And then she starts getting to a better level. Like she made it to the American Open in 2014, and she's still like, don't tell anybody. And I'm like, they're gonna like see if they even watch it. It's like streamed and stuff live. Like people see it, right? She's still no.
It's the nerves that like gets to me, but the reason why I compete is to make those nerves go away. But I also...
But do they?
Yeah.
Kinda. They kinda do, but I still get nervous, but now I love to compete. Before I didn't, because I just hated people watching me lift. Like, eye contact is really, I don't know, I don't like eye contact, but yeah, I like competing now, because now once you're out there on the stage and you like put everything you practice for like to the test, you get to, you push yourself more, and then you get to see how far you come, and then you compete once and you want to, you just keep going.
It's a fever.
Keep going. Yeah. I don't
you still
hate
get pretty
anymore.
nervous every
time.
time.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I hate it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Darlene,
I love it now.
So
I love it now.
I've coached a lot of athletes, and Darlene is definitely one of the most nervous athletes, which you'd think after competing on a national stage, like it would calm down, but it shows you sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. After she hits her first lift, though, she's super confident. Yeah. She completely transforms after the first snatch.
That's it.
Yeah, but up until that point, I may be the only one to deal with it.
The last competition we did in, I think it was in February.
March with
E2
E2
Oli.
Oli, yeah, February.
I asked Arturo to slap me in the face because
oh yeah,
I was so nervous.
Yeah,
I'm like, Arturo, I just need you to slap me in the face. Just please do it.
As a means to calm her down.
I know.
And I'm like, I'm a man, and I can't slap a woman in the face in public.
Yeah.
I need this.
Yeah. Only in public.
Yes, good catch.
But then we worked it out to where he like slaps me in the back of the neck, and that worked, right?
Yep. That's okay. Yeah. There you go.
That's fantastic.
All right, so you can't just go and compete at the competition you guys went to, the University Nationals, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So from the beginning, tell me how, someone that doesn't know anything, how does someone go about to eventually make it that far? Like, what's the start, and then what's, the end to actually getting to that point?
Okay.
Qualifying.
Yeah, I'll go for it. Okay. So you have to compete at a USAW sanctioned event. USAW is the organization that is run for America. You're basically lifting for our country, which is really patriotic, I feel like, right? And the idea is you would do well in a local meet sanctioned by USAW. If you do well enough, there's qualifying totals that they release each year that would basically qualify you for a national competition. So these two guys both did that. They've done some local meets. They hit the numbers they were supposed to do with their corresponding weight class, and that qualified them to enter into university nationals. And then, of course, they compete at university nationals. But yeah, these are things that you have to qualify for. The American Open is one you have to qualify for. Nationals is one you have to qualify for. And they go up every year, and it's not easy.
So what are the different categories? Because you were saying that you didn't even realize that there was like a university kind of national. So what are the different categories of that?
So they have university nationals, which is kind of two parts. They have nationals under 25, meaning if you're under 25, you're nationals. Yeah. And then they have university nationals, which I think you could be up to 28. Yeah, of course, you have to be enrolled in school full time. You have to get like proof of that and stuff too, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And so that's the requirements for that. They also have, nationals for everybody, which would be the open and just nationals. And then they also have masters nationals, juniors nationals, youth nationals.
Okay.
Junior is, what is that? 16 to 18, I think?
I think it's 20.
I always forget. To 20? Is it that high?
Yeah.
Okay, and then youth is below that. And then masters is 35 plus.
Oh, okay.
And they also break up masters into like kind of age brackets too, but just generally they talk masters 35 and up.
But you don't need to like do the open or qualify at the open to go to nationals, right?
No,
they're like two separate like larger.
Yeah, this is like it's not like CrossFit
Correct.
where there's like the open is a series of workouts.
Yeah,
the American Open is like that the name of that competition, that national competition.
But it's a larger scale.
Yes.
One too,
Yes.
right? Yeah, okay.
Oh, actually, this year they're changing that.
Oh, okay.
This year they're doing, it's actually kind of similar. They're doing a regionals open. And you have to qualify with a total to compete in like each region's open.
Oh.
And then based on how you perform in that region, that would qualify you for the American Open.
Okay.
That's new coming out just this year.
Okay.
But for every competition, like the universities, American Open and Nationals, there's different qualifying totals. So the university level qualifying total would be lower than the American Open total.
Yeah.
Right? And then Nationals is higher.
It's a little higher than that, yeah.
American Open, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They update them each year based on performance of the previous year. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, if you make it to 1 year, you're definitely not guaranteed the next year either. You still have to keep pumping away.
Yeah, I think from last year the jump was like 20 kilos or something for a bunch of the weight classes, which is like 40 plus pounds or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big jump.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my patients. They were saying that there's like huge jumps from last year.
I think the 77 went like 24.
Yeah, so that was the biggest one.
Which really that kind of just adds to like you have to be that much more like vigilant in your training to like to stay at that level, if not try to get to something that next level. So for us would be like the American Open. You have to be like consistently training as hard as we have been. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely difficult.
Yes.
In the competition, I haven't done a comp. I'll eventually do one. I'm sure
you will.
You're going to keep asking.
Yeah, you will.
So, the guys here, they qualified, and you automatically say, I'm going to coach you guys. Mm-hmm. The big thing was counting cards. So explain that to me.
Okay. So, weightlifting is similar to powerlifting in this instance. It's a little bit different. In powerlifting, the order that you go out for your first lift is the same for the second and third, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in weightlifting, it's a little bit more hectic, which I love as a coach because there's definitely some power plays as a coach you can make for your athlete. So counting cards is in a USAW meet or any weightlifting meet, the order in which you lift is governed by the weight on the bar. The person who lifts the least weight goes first. The person who lifts the heaviest weight goes last. But it changes each lift. So if, for instance, JP is opening with 110 kilo snatch and Sebastian is opening with 112, JP's going first, right? But if JP's second lift is 118 and Sebass's is 116, Sebass is following himself.
Ooh,
right?
okay.
The weight on the bar is just governed in all.
Yeah.
So in essence, you can have people that do all 3 of their lifts before someone even does their first lift.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that can change. Now, because of that, there's a card table that governs the order. And because it's always constantly changing, because people can also change the weights that they're lifting up until the moment they lift.
Oh, okay.
So the order is always changing. So as a coach, I need to let my athlete know how much time they have to warm up, because you have to prime them in order to hit their maxes and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I have to tell Sebass, okay, you're 18 lifts out. This is what you're hitting. A few minutes later, okay, you're 14 lifts out. You're going to hit this lift. And that changes. Sometimes the way the cards play out, all of a sudden, 4 numbers change. Oh, hey, you're up. Sorry, that's the name of the game. All right. As a coach, it's kind of your duty to make sure that doesn't happen. Sometimes it does. There's a lot of moves you can make. In weightlifting, there's a big bluffing game going on where you put your opening lift. Let's say I put my opening lift at 80 kilos. There's another lifter that's also at 80 kilos. When it comes time to lift, I want to ice them. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm opening at 82 kilos. All of a sudden, they're lifting unexpectedly. They're like, nope, I need more rest. I can do 83 kilos. They change to 83. So I'm like, okay, I will change this to 84 now. And you play this bluffing game until eventually someone has to lift. Now, you only get 3 declarations of weight. You can only do that 3 times. But
Per lift?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it becomes a big game of like bluffing, who's going next, it can get pretty hectic. As a coach, I love it because it gives me the opportunity to not only get my athlete in like the prime spot, but I also do have the potential to really ice or really break another lifter. And as a coach, I love it. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. I had no clue.
No idea about that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's definitely the most fun for coaching. Like
That's
CrossFit
that
events, I
sounds fun.
love and stuff. Yeah, weightlifting, it's a chess game. It's fun.
It's hard to do though, especially if you're by yourself. And
Yeah.
you
I
have,
can imagine.
like
Yeah.
if you're lifting by yourself,
You're kind of screwed.
yeah.
There's
You
no way
need
you're
a
going to
coach or you need
compete without someone counting cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'd be
Interesting.
Well, optimally, you can compete, but you're just going to get your ass.
Yeah, if you want to open with like an empty bar snatch, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that work as far as like warm-ups go? Because I mean, in powerlifting, squat is first. We warm up for a squat, and everyone that's in that flight, we go up to our line, and then we all get our lifts done.
Right. Yeah.
And then
So
we go back, warm up for bench, so forth and so on.
it's
So
similar in that
similar to
instance.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
the snatch is always the first lift.
Yep.
Everyone will complete their snatches. Then there'll be a 10-minute break, and then everyone will start their clean and jerks.
Okay.
That's all there is. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, there's a lot of jockeying for positions and stuff. And there's all that.
Okay. Interesting.
Have you guys had any interesting stories with having to deal with that?
Sure.
It just happened.
I don't
This
really
just happened this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to go?
Oh, I say I actually don't think I've had too many. I'm actually typically that athlete that I deliberately will like lowball my opener, and it throws people off. And actually, I did it at this last meet, the national meet, and then one of the ones I used to qualify for it. And that was actually, it was awesome for me because I got to like see the frustration of the other coaches and the other athletes. And he's like, who the hell makes a 10-kilo jump on a snatch? And it blew people's mind. And then, but then I still made the lift. So I was really happy. And I actually, so that's like all it is for me is like, I don't know if it's because of CrossFit. I'm used to the high volume repetitions and like kind of that consistency at a high percentage of my max.
That is it.
And I think that helps a lot. But yeah, I mean, that's really the only story I have. I don't think it's actually really happened to me. Like, oh, you're up. But again, I think if it did, it's kind of like I would look at it like a CrossFit competition. Like, oh, I got 3 minutes. So, I got 1 minute now. Okay, cool. Make the lift or don't make the lift. It's a hit or miss. But I don't think it would affect me too much as far as like making a lift. Just get set and go kind of thing.
I can say JP is definitely the easiest to coach because he's really good at CrossFit and he can lift like 90% every minute. So like if things really go wrong in the cards, I can still expect JP. Actually, it kind of did happen this last competition because what happened is your wrist was hurting you. So we went with a really light snatch because we weren't sure. We had went a month without snatching anything significant overhead.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So we're like, whoa, okay, let's just see. Like we got to compete on this big stage. Let's just see where we go. We'll do really safe first. Let's just see if you're capable. So he's, I want him to hit that safe number in the warm up, and that kind of gives me an idea what I can have his opener be. So he hits it in the warm up, but he has to hit it fairly early. Now, because he hits it and he's like, oh, this is great. Yeah, I can definitely open up 10 more kilos, 110 kilos. I'm feeling great. I'm like, oh, awesome. This is great news. The problem is, because we had to find that out, we were warmed up too early. So the cards are playing out. There's a lot of people failing lifts. There's a lot of people repeating lifts. Now, what happens when you repeat a lift is it's 2 minutes. And people generally tend to take that whole 2 minutes. And you have a whole bunch of people failing. All of a sudden, the length of time between your lifts is really increasing, messing up his warm-up. So for JP, we had him hit I think 105. And then we had to go back down. We had to go back down to 90 kilos. We had to re-warm back up.
It went from being 2 minutes of waiting to 12 minutes. So it was okay, this just pulls, or I didn't want to sit there and expend energy at 5 kilos less than what I was going to lift. So I dropped down, I think it was to 90.
And then we kind of re-warmed back up. Yeah. Now, normally for a weightlifter, this is a bad scenario. But for JP, I'm like, he's fine. Yeah. I can make him do 105 kilos. I can make him do it every 3 minutes, and he'll still hit 110 5 minutes later. It's not a big deal for JP too much. But normally this is a difficult thing, and it does happen sometimes.
And actually, I ended up missing the first 110, but it was I felt like it was too light, so I had to warm back up. Yeah, I should have power snatched it, and it just flew over my head, and then nailed the second one. It was okay. I don't know what happened to that first time, but it felt easy the second time, and I was okay, so I know I'm still capable of it. My wrist is at this point it's kind of numb because I taped it super tight, and then so after that I ended up making a huge jump again and kind of did the same thing to myself. Not so bad though, actually. No, I repeated myself at that point, right?
Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, it wasn't so bad, but I didn't really have a warm up going into that because normally if I made that big jump, I'm kind of used to it, but not lifting overhead for a month was, I think, the biggest thing that kind of sucked for that. So I was actually really just happy to make a total. That was the biggest thing. I was it's my first national meet. I want to make a total. That's the biggest thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
How about you? Had a good one too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so this being our first national meet, this was definitely a learning experience all around. Including in the coaching aspect. So basically, once you register for a meet like this, you declare a total, and you do this months out before you even go in there. And so like JP said, he did a low ball, and I did a low ball as well. Mine obviously wasn't as severe as his, but what they do with that total that you declare initially is they place you into individual sessions within your weight class. So my declared total put me in the C session. Like JP's was a really low ball, put him in the E session when he probably should have been lifting in the B session. But so he wasn't. Yeah, exactly.
You had to do that.
Exactly. So what you're gonna see is somebody like JP would be lifting at that towards the end of his session. Basically, most of the time he'd be following himself with maybe 1 or 2 people in between his lifts. Nothing too crazy. For my session, what ended up happening was I opened heavier than my declared total, obviously, but it kind of put me more towards the top of my session. So when I was making my opening attempt, I made my opening attempt, and then what happened right after that was, within the next 5 kilos that I wanted to make my second attempt, there were people making their second attempt, their third attempt, and then a couple people making their first attempt. So that jump between my first attempt and my second attempt ended up being around 10 lifts out or something like that.
It was more. So you made your first lift. And then there was, I think, a 5 kilo jump we did?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wanted to go heavier, but it was it was too much.
It would have been too much. Yeah, this is where I had to moderate him a little. He wants to go higher, and I'm glad he's feeling good and stuff, but it would put him too far out.
Yeah.
So he hits his first lift, and when you're at a national competition, everyone's lifting pretty close to the same weight. So if you're gonna make a 5 kilo jump, which is, I guess, a little on the larger side for a clean and jerk, I guess, maybe. You usually expect at a competition, you maybe have 4 lifts between, maybe 8 would be a lot. He had something close to 12 or 14 lifts before he would make his second attempt.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
That could be plenty of time to get cold.
That could be 15, 17 minutes, and what are you doing?
You have a minute on the platform, right?
Mm-hmm. Or if they're repeating, it's 2 minutes.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Yeah, and clean and jerk typically tends a lot longer. People sometimes really rest after the clean.
Yeah.
Just really extends the time. But that was an interesting scenario. So we had to do pulls in the back just to kind of keep him warm. And then before he'd hit his second lift, it was interesting.
Yeah, was a little chilled out. I ended up missing my second and my third attempt, but it was, I don't know, it was rough. But it was a learning experience, And what I found out after I got there was that that opening total that you declare initially once you register for the competition after qualifying, you can actually make your opening lifts once you get there after you make weight within 20 kilos of that number. So basically what I could have done, I could have declared a higher total. I could have gone 20 kilos higher for my total and then declared something way lower once I weighed in. So
it's 15 for girls, that number, 15 for girls, 20 for guys. That's
okay.
So,
I also learned that total is what determines your session, which is why I was in that last session. The one benefit to that is I got to weigh in and lift, I was in the first 85 kilo session, so I was done and I didn't have to worry about cutting anymore. So I was just happy to eat. And I was eating my face out for the rest of the weekend, but that was the only benefit from it. But obviously I would prefer to be in the same session as people lifting, because they were still lifting similar weights. But again, I was near the top of that session, so I ended up repeating myself, especially in the clean and jerk. I think the last 2 lifts I repeated myself, where there was maybe 1 or 2 people. So it actually wasn't too bad. But that's happened even in a local meet before, where I just repeated myself for 3 lifts.
Yeah, that happens more often because not as many people.
Yeah, exactly. Not as many people that are, again, at this national meet being kind of classified by their total. So that was definitely a learning thing for me too. And then again, that 15 or 20 rule of that, which I didn't want to go any lower than what I had already declared. So it was really just kind of getting my wrist to feel comfortable with the weight overhead again. Yeah. So, yeah.
What about you, Darlene?
I don't ice anyone.
Just yourself. You've been on both sides of this game too. As well as these guys. Actually, all 4 of us at this table have counted cards for athletes. We've coached, and we've also all competed a handful of times at least. So, but Dar probably has the most experience in terms of at least competing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you feel like there was ever a competition where you felt like?
No, I'm pretty. The numbers that I choose to compete at, I'm pretty confident in those numbers, and I could hit a pretty high percentage.
Similar to JP in that instance.
Yeah, pretty frequently. Yeah. So I'm pretty confident in my numbers. I usually PR or hit my PR on my second lift, and then go for a PR on my third lift.
Yeah, Dar's actually really consistent. Dar's one of those people. A lot of people, when they compete, they don't necessarily hit PRs because you don't have the environmental circumstances that you normally do in training. So, but Dar is, she thrives on it. Yeah, she PRs pretty much every competition. Yeah, nice. Second lift and then another third lift. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it must be nice.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Is that typical though for a lot of Olympic lifters? How do you? Ideal situation, not getting iced or burned from another coach or athlete. How would you set up your lifts if the athlete's feeling good going into a meet?
It depends.
How would you pick an opener as far as percentage wise, or?
As a coach, it really depends on knowing your athlete. Yeah. The athletes are going to vary, but typically broad, usually 90% of your lift is usually the opener. Okay. I always tell people it's not really as important to know what your max is as it is to know what you're at your worst. Yeah. What can you lift on your worst day? Okay. Because it might be your worst day. Yeah. And so that's kind of your opener. Okay. Typically 90% is that number for an open, generally. Yeah. Some people that if it's their first competition, I want to build confidence, maybe more 85%. Yeah. A more experienced lifter, Dar, these guys, I can have them open with 95, 98% and still be pretty confident in that. Yeah. That's how I generally do it. I like to, make a first lift, take risks on the second and third. Okay. The risks will be determined by you and by me as well, I guess. You can't do crazy things. But
risks based on medals or qualifying totals that you need.
Correct, especially that third lift. If I see they're going to jockey for position, I'm going to let them know. But generally that's how I usually have people go. Okay. I want them to get a total.
All right. Yeah. Cool.
So we talked a little bit before the podcast. There's some changes going on with the scoring. So they used to use the Sinclair method. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So it was the Sinclair coefficient, which is basically how they rank you. So you're in each category of weight class, and within that weight class, if 2 people were to lift the same weight, the tiebreaker would be body weight. Whoever weighed less won. It actually happened in this last Olympics. Liu Zhaozhen, who's like the heavyweight crown at this, like the god of weightlifting right now, got, what was his total? 218? I mean,
318?
3
something. Maybe something like that.
already.
Definitely more than mine.
Oh no, you know what it was? That's what I'm thinking. It was a 218 clean and jerk that won it, basically. It was a world record.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
Clean and jerk to totally.
Liu Zhaozhen breaks the world record snatch, all right, which was zone, and then does a clean and jerk. That's not the world record, but it's good enough to win. And then some guy ends up cleaning jerking. He knows what he needs to do to tie Liu. Hits this miraculous clean and jerk. It's definitely the story of the Olympics for weightlifting, at least. Hits this miraculous clean and jerk and ties Liu. Yeah. But he wins because he weighs less than Liu by like 0.01 or something. Like,
and it was like a 12 kilo jump.
Yeah,
it was a huge kilo jump, way beyond his threshold.
Gosh.
It was monumental. Definitely one of the best weightlifting stories I've seen. Even though I love Liu, but yeah, it was awesome. And all of a sudden, they take away this rule now with the body weight. So now the deciding factor of who wins between two people tied is who hit the weight first on the platform. Which is interesting. I get it, because what they're trying to do is make the person going after not just match someone, but beat them.
Yeah.
And I get that, and I like it. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But it just
Makes sense.
stinks
Sure
for the lighter guys, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find in Olympic weightlifting that a lot of people cut to their weight class, or how does that?
At the higher levels,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty typical.
It's usually nothing too severe.
Well, I mean, if you have same day weigh-ins, you can't really.
Yeah. You weigh in 2 hours before your session begins.
Yeah.
So you can't do anything like, it's not like an MMA fight where you can drop like 30 pounds or something.
Yeah.
You can cut a few lbs, although, the weeks preceding, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I typically just do it as like a last week kind of cut, and because I normally walk around only a few pounds heavier than the weight class I would compete at, but I hate that because I just love food too much, so I could I've always told myself I would rather do it in like months, but I can't hold myself to that. So I love pizza, I like pancakes, I like all the junk food. I can't sit there and do that. So yeah. And yeah, actually that was like a little story too. They were enjoying the like continental breakfast at the hotel every day, and we couldn't eat any, we couldn't do that. Me and Sebastian were fucking cutting, and it was terrible. And then of course again that next morning though, 2 waffles, like a full plate of food.
Man.
Oh my god, we just went ham.
Yeah. What's the most weight you had to lose in? Like 3 pounds?
No, let's do kilos. We are competing in kilos.
Well, I went from
That's easy.
I think it was actually at the beginning of that week. I was close to like 197 in pounds, not kilos.
That'd be nuts.
In kilos, I think that's like close to 90. So I cut about 5 kilos then. And actually no, because I cut to 83.69.
Yeah.
So actually I cut more like 11 or no, I'm 6.5 about almost. But most of it was literally in that last day, or a good chunk of it was just like dehydrating myself that last day. So like no water pretty much from like 4 till I slept, and then I slept in sweats, and then I woke up. So after the weigh-in, I was like, oh cool, and then I'm just like drinking coconut water, some like electrolyte refuel kind of thing. It might have been like an off-brand Pedialyte thing, but that's essentially the same thing. And then just like hydrating and eating, just nothing too crazy.
Yeah. Not what I would recommend for a first-time lifter. Don't cut weight.
Don't cut weight.
Don't cut weight. Experienced. Yeah. You cut a little bit of weight too, Seabass, right?
Yeah, mine wasn't as severe, but I stay around 2 to 3 kilos above my weight class, like by the end of the day every day. But then I lose between like 2 to 3 kilos every night when I sleep, so I can like manage it pretty well. So the morning, I did some really light cutting when we got there just to be sure. I wanted to make sure I wasn't gonna have to like do anything too crazy on that weigh-in day. So I just ate a little bit less, but
pooped a little bit more.
right, exactly.
All good.
Yeah. So I woke up that morning being the morning of weigh-in. It's about almost a kilo overweight, and then drank some coffee, and 2 hours later when I went to weigh in, I was half a kilo underweight. So it's pretty manageable for me. I think after this little weightlifting season this year, I'd like to move up a weight class. So that's kind of what I'm working towards for next year.
So what weight class are you in?
Right now I'm 77, so I'd like to go up to 85.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And you're in the 85.
I'm in the 85,
Okay,
yes.
gotcha. What do you usually compete in, Arturo?
So I've competed at 77 and 85. I could one up JP on this. I've actually cut 8 kilos to make it to 77, which is pretty extreme, but I've cut weight a lot of times in my life. Yeah. It's definitely too much. I'm definitely like the tallest 77 ever. But you know, in terms of like the Sinclair coefficient we were talking about earlier, my performance based on Sinclair would be better despite me lifting like 10 kilos less.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of bittersweet though, because in your head you're like, you lift this weight and you're like, it's not my best. Even though it ranks as your best performance, you're still left thinking like, I still have more like kilos I can lift. So now I compete at 85. I like 85. Definitely a little underweight for 85 still. I'm still lighter, more towards like 83, 82 walking around. But I'm older, man. I don't need to be cutting weight no more. Crazy.
Dar, what weight class do you usually
I'm in the lightest weight class. I'm usually a 48, but I'm pregnant right now, so I'm not.
So is that the lowest weight class that they have?
Yeah, that's the lightest weight class.
Okay.
But I'm usually only normally I'm only like a kilo or 2 over.
Okay.
So I'm pretty close to that.
It's pretty
anyways. Yeah, it's pretty easy for me to lose fat.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. Nice.
Well, I mean, a kilo for you is a lot harder than a kilo for
I mean, I'll stress out about it.
No, I'm just saying, like, your kilo definitely takes more time.
Yeah.
I'll drop a kilo in like a few hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do they do testing at these events?
They do. They do test, so not at a local meet.
Right.
Which I guess you could
can.
They can, yeah.
Well, I believe Cal State Games did. That was like one of a bigger version, like a local meet. Yeah, kind of like a statewide thing. I believe they did it there.
Yeah, so like most sports that are governed by a drug testing agency, for us it's USADA, U.S. Association of Drug something. I don't know, anyways. But it's basically every time you go to a meet through USAW sanctioned meet, you're essentially submitting yourself to be tested at any time, for whatever reason. For national level meets, for the most part, because this testing is kind of expensive, so without a doubt it's like first, second, third place get tested, and then they'll usually, for this one I think they're picking out like 1 or 2 people just out of the whole the whole pool.
Oh, okay.
But they really can test whoever they want.
Yeah.
So
has anyone ever called anyone out? Be like, hey,
check that guy. I mean, it has to be random. They can't exactly do that. Otherwise, you could always have that person deflecting. It's all them for sure. Everyone that beat me. No, but they usually the test at national levels. They're gonna test the top people that podium, all of them.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna do random throughout the rest of the rankings. How'd they do it in the Open? Dar.
I waited and nobody called for me, so.
But they lined you all up in the back, right? Didn't they do something like that? Am I making that up?
I think you're making that up.
Oh, okay, I'm making that up.
No, but they do. I'm pretty sure they do take the top 3 people and then they pick a random person. And I was just waiting back there. I'm like, am I gonna get my?
I remember you were nervous, and I'm like, what do you to put this in context?
Everything.
Dar doesn't even take whey protein. She doesn't nothing. She's like, what if they test me? I'm like, they can test you. That's fine, Dar. You don't do anything.
She's pregnant.
Yeah,
that would be an awesome way to find out. They tested you and somehow.
There's 2 of her. We're not sure if
cheating. Cool, guys. So, anything else you guys want to talk about? Bring up?
Do you guys want to plug your weightlifting group?
Sure, yeah. Nemesis Weightlifting Club. We're based out in CrossFit ATR in Kearny Mesa, San Diego. Got a good program running right now. Everyone's doing pretty well. As you can see, we're getting some people national competitions.
New platforms
we just got. Yeah, they're nice. 8x8s, nice and big.
Oh, yeah.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going well, man. We run a class twice a week, and then we have programming for all of our competitors every day. We kind of tailor the programs to the people and stuff. But yeah, come check us out.
When's your guys' next meet that you guys have lifters competing
The next meet we have is at CrossFit 40th. That's in November. No, end of October. Late October. Yeah, we have a handful of people competing in that one, and then we'll have, I'm sure, a bunch of people competing in February, March. Yeah, March is Masters Nationals, which Heather already qualified for. Yeah, I'm expecting a good 5+ of us to go to national level meets this next year.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Yeah.
And actually that about all the different like level meets too, so there's like deadlines to meet those totals, and actually like this 40th is right around that deadline to make it, like, or to qualify for the American Open, which is normally I believe in December, like around December like 12th or something like that. And like I think I might even be like Halloween or something, like the 30th is like the last day.
Actually, I think the 40th weekend is the last.
Oh, that
weekend.
is okay.
Yeah.
So the week before that, then I believe.
So you'll have a lot of people like really trying to make that level. Yeah. So it'll be a good competition for sure.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Awesome.
40s. So, JP, what's your Instagram?
FBS JP. Nothing crazy.
Seabass?
Mine's DYE Seabass, so like do even. SEABASS.
Arturo?
My personal one is Arturo Fiero, and then you could always follow us at Nemesis Weightlifting.
And mine is Darlene Rose, and I post a lot of pregnancy workouts and pregnancy lifts on there.
She does.
Oh yeah, give those a try.
Cool.
Love it.
You can follow that.
Yep.
As well as CrossFit ATR. You could follow them too.
Yep.
Awesome.
Great
Right.
gym.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, guys.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
that was awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for listening to LionHeart Radio. Don't forget to rate us and download our other episodes. For your supplement needs, go to louisvive.com, and for your sports therapy needs, visit movement-rx.com.
This Midwest nigga be the coldest. Cleveland is the city where it's hustle or you hopeless. In my closet like a stove, bitch. Only difference is you ain't gon' find this in no stove, bitch. I'm fresher than your whole clique.